Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to be talking about Breach 2.
Oh my.
Yeah. Aaron, have you ever gone into the breach?
I've been in the breach for my whole life.
You were born in the breach?
It's tough to get out of that sucker once you're in it, you know what I mean? This is Breach 2, so presumably you got out of it once, now you're back in. That'd be even more depressing.
That would be depressing.
What happened to Breach 1?
Well, you know, it's just a show for another time.
Oh, I see. So we do them out of order?
Yeah.
This ain't the first time we've done that either.
We still have not done Speedball 1.
You're right. I think we did Share the Beast 2 first, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? So, Aaron, this is normally the time where we talk about witty banter regarding the name of the game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have any witty banter, so I want to talk about this box art real quick.
All right.
We're kind of jumping into the show early, but we're focusing on the box art. I love the box art for this game.
Yeah, it looks like the shuttlecraft from the old Star Trek show, the Galileo, if you will. Then you've got some dudes, I don't know, fiddling with it, basically. That's what, it's a guy on his phone, you know, getting the scores, seeing if it's covered the spread, whatever. Then the other guy looks like he's getting ready to be frisked.
He looks like Mega Man on the original NES box art. He's got that bow-legged stance.
That's never good.
No.
You know, in the future, do you think that's how we're going to dress?
I think it'll be required.
With the helmet and
you
stuff?
You gotta have a speed suit, you know?
I hope they come in the big size. Now, what do you think about these boxy sort of spacecraft?
Well, you know, when I was a kid, I've told you about Star Trek Club before, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Live long and geek.
Me and Hat Chad, David Doss, a few other of our friends, we'd get together at lunchtime out under the bleachers in the middle school.
Yeah.
We'd have Star Trek Club. It's where all the cool kids hung
Is that
out.
where it was?
Yeah.
No wonder I couldn't find
you
y'all.
get that nasty smell from the lavatory there that was in the baseball concession stand.
It's still bad, too, by the way.
So that's where we'd convene and we'd talk about our dream starships, right?
Yeah. Oh, man.
And so Doss, he always wanted the Admiral class because his nickname was the Admiral. I was just saying that we only referred to him as the Admiral.
You called him the Admiral?
Yeah, we each had our own call sign.
What was yours?
I was a lieutenant commander.
What? You couldn't even make commander?
I couldn't, not even in my fantasy world. That's how
Who was the other guy?
Chad, I'm not sure what
Ensign?
Chad, I can't remember what Chad's rank was. We'll have to ask him next time. But anyway, I always wanted to just fly a little Galileo shuttlecraft around.
Yeah.
That was what I wanted.
Why?
Because it was compact.
This is why you never made commander, because you aimed too low.
Listen.
You just wanted to fly. You didn't want to ride the Enterprise. You just wanted to fly the box, the little crap mobile.
And you never see shuttlecraft get blown up. They survive everything. It's like the black box in an airline.
Come to think of it, I don't recall ever seeing one get blown up. Now,
There you go. All right, that's my case.
It's funny because I've been watching some old Star Trek here. I was making fun of you, but last night I sat down and gleefully watched the old episode where they meet Apollo. So that's, you know, the big
I haven't gotten there yet.
It's the old one, but they're driving their ship through space, and a big hand grabs the Enterprise.
Wow.
It's Apollo, the hand of Apollo.
Huh.
It's the real guy.
There's a character in Marvel Comics that's also like the size of a planet too, that has like a very large body.
Well, there's tons of those guys. They just grow and shrink around. I'm sure they do. Just depending on who the author is.
Galactus, is that his name?
He eats planets.
Wow.
So, you know, he's big.
Yeah.
He sucks them dry, like with a straw, kind of.
Really?
Oh, he's got a gimmick that goes down and sucks all the energy out.
Does he leave the husk there
That's
behind?
right, the husk. Or they blow up. If I was him, I'd just punch him.
Yeah.
At the end, like, yeah.
You do the old soccer ball kick with it.
The problem is he's much like myself. Actually, I've got a lot in common with Galactus because I'm ever hungry. It never stops. And I'm sucking the heck out of it. Food is the difference.
Yeah.
You know, that's
You're
it.
Destroyer of the Santos combo.
That right. That's true. You're an idiot. Let's get to the game,
All
bro.
right, man.
The haunting, melodic love theme from Breach 2. You know, it's called Breach 2. It's going to have a heck of a love theme.
Well, you've got to enjoy it while you can, because once you get past that title screen, you're never going to hear it again.
That's it. It is kind of neat that the title screen's pretty cool, I will say, when it comes up, because it's sort of like the box.
Yeah.
Comes up with a big picture, the gimmick, you know. So Breach 2, keep that in mind, Breach 2, released 1990 on one disc and published by Impressions and developed by Omnitrend. That sounds like somebody that would make tires or air conditioners or something to me. This was coded by Thomas R. Carbone. He did Breach, Paladin, and Paladin 2, so that was his thing. He did 2 of 2 different things. Graphics by Maurice Molyneux, who did Rules of Engagement, and the music by that loving theme, Bruce McPherson. And I should mention that Carbone, this was his baby. He wrote and conceived and coded the game. So this is a Carbone joint boat. This got released on a myriad of different outlets, including the Atari ST, the Tandy/PC, and had various versions available on the PC. That's all I got in terms of his story. So, Boat, this is your typical or atypical team strategy game. Give us your thoughts.
So, Breach 2, if you've played any of the Julian Gollop strategy titles, whether it be Laser Squad, XCOM, etc., you know what to expect here. You are a squadron leader, and your job is to maneuver your forces chess piece-like through an alien landscape to accomplish a mission. This is a turn-based affair, which means that your guys all take their turns, then the enemies all take their turns, and then you do it all over again. In this game, you have various items you can pick up. You have various weapons that you can use, and there are a myriad different enemies to shoot at. This is a game that comes with quite a backstory, doesn't it, Aaron?
I don't know if I read the backstory, but give it to us.
Well, the first probably 20 to 30 pages of the manual of this. And
that's why I didn't read the backstory.
This is, it makes you wonder. You know, a game like Breach 2 makes you wonder what is behind the people that are making Breach 2. Because
that's what you wonder?
It's 20 pages of the most generic, boring science fiction you've ever read in your life, zero of which makes any difference to you once you start playing the game. Because unlike some strategy games that have an overarching plot, this game is it's a collection of scenarios. It's a collection of scenarios, and I'll tell you why they did that. They did that because they want to put role-playing, they want to combine role-playing and squad-based tactics together. So what they've done is they've created a save system that allows you to take your squad from any scenario and transport it to any scenario. And that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that.
But if you're looking for an overarching story-based mission system, you're not going to get that with Breach 2.
You know, one of the things on this, now, by the way, I didn't breach, my version of the doc did not have that story.
Oh, okay, well, they probably
because I got the hand typed in version, so there was no strategy on or there was no backstory. But I will say, when you start this game, I just sat there for like 10 minutes trying to figure out how to make the game go. I wouldn't call the opening volley of menus super intuitive.
No, well, what you have to do is you have to create a squadron leader.
Yeah.
And that sort of works. Your squadron leader is just another name for your save game, basically. Then you have to choose a mission to go on, and then you have to actually create the file that your thing is going to be saved to.
Right.
It seems like there's one extra step there that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you look at it, like, I didn't read the docs, because the reason I got the docs, I was like, I'd figure this out. I mean, I knew I'd need them eventually. I thought, okay, bam, bam, hit the start button. No, it ain't like that.
No.
And even once you get your guy created, it's hard to get started. It was weird. Eventually I figured it out.
Yeah.
Now, it does give you a hefty amount of scenarios to try out, and it does rank them from easy to hard, which is nice. And I didn't realize that, of course, I didn't know there was a long arching storyline to go along with this.
And again, it's none of the story has any bearing. Like, it's not like you have characters that that are referred to in the game.
Yeah.
In fact, your squad basically, you have these different guys' names, but just like in a lot of squad-based games, you don't. The personality isn't what you call fleshed out.
Yeah.
Now, this game does offer you some sort of interesting things. You are able to kind of try and hack into an enemy computer system. And you do something called use the cracker, okay? And what the cracker does is it exposes the entire map of the scenario. Okay. Now the cracker is only it's only successful 15% of the time. So what you have to do in a lot of cases is, okay, you're starting the beginning of the scenario, and your guys are all being loaded in one at a time. They just kind of appear out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they load in one at a time. But you have to keep one of your guys behind, and his job is basically to work the cracking unit until that 1 out of 15, that 50% chance comes in. Okay? Once that happens, then you can see the full map. However, the full map is like a really, really low res. I mean, it's like a 32 by 32 single color thing.
This looks like a DOS port to me. It came from because this looked, a lot of DOS strategy games of this era look just like this.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this ported over from DOS.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think so. But here's the thing. This is the way that I played the game. I played the game until the cracking thing was complete, and then I was like, all right, reset. And then, because the maps never change.
Yeah.
And so then you know where the enemy is, you know what direction you need to head in, and that's really the key.
So you cheated.
Yeah. The key is you figure out where you need to go, then you hit restart, and then you bring your whole force of guys.
I never would have thought of that, I'll be honest with you.
Now,
I never did that.
Let me tell you how much this helped me.
Well,
Zero.
Having seen your playthrough, I guess you were as expensive as I was. You know, the funny thing about this game is, you mentioned Laser Squad, because, XCOM. I found this to be, I really actually, parts of this were easier for me to understand than those. Because I guess because maybe it's simpler than those. Mm-hmm. But this is not like dumb guy simple.
No.
You have, and it's funny, I was watching Boat's playthrough on this, and before, you get multiple ways to move your various squad members, and one of the ways is to basically click on them and drag a path out, mm-hmm. and you can make a pretty wacky path to get the stuff. And I watched Boat play, and he was just bebopping along, and you didn't even use the pathing, did you?
Well, I started out using the pathing, and I was like, you know what? There's got to be a better way. So again, I consulted the documentation, and the documentation are like, if you don't have access to a mouse, you can just use the numpad. If you hold down Shift and then use one of the cardinal directions on the numpad, you can move your guy around. This is also very useful when you have to face your Marine in a certain direction.
Why don't you talk about that? Because that's one of the things I didn't like about the game.
So in most games, if you want to move your guy in a certain direction, then you can just move him and he'll go there. Well, not in this game. In this game, you have to waste a movement point to turn your guy.
Yeah.
This game, like all the Gollop games, this game is contingent upon the amount of move points that you have.
Yeah.
I think they're called action points in the other games. And so it costs you moves to do everything. But if you're using the numpad to move around, then you just hit the direction that you want to go in first. That will turn your guy in the correct direction, and then you just go. Now, the problem is that sometimes the game doesn't move incredibly fast. And I don't know if you know this about me, Aaron. Sometimes I get impatient when stuff is slow.
No kidding. Yeah, I've noticed that over the years.
And so what you do is you just sort of mash on the button as fast as you can. Well, what happens is that you start mashing on the button, and it's no longer that guy. It's a different guy, and you're mashing in a direction you don't want to go in.
Yeah, I noticed that on your playthrough happened more than once.
It happens a lot. It happens a lot.
So let's just talk about a basic scenario. The basic scenario, the first scenario, the easy one, you start off in a room full of ammunition. Mm-hmm. And so this is the room where you load up or whatever you want.
Right.
They give you anything you want pretty much at the beginning. You can load, I think it's up to like 6 things, something like that. You can load a pretty good amount. And then once you've got whatever you want, then this took me forever too, to try to leave the room. I was perplexed. I had no idea what to do.
In that first scenario, you would think that they would make the first scenario, all you have to do is exit your craft and you're out of there. But they put you in a house.
Yeah.
And the house has an elevator shaft, and you have to go up and down the elevator shaft. So again, I was using the old docs to try and figure out how to get out of there. It's a poor choice for a first scenario.
Thankfully, I had the docs handy from having to figure out how to start the game.
Yeah.
So I figured it out eventually. And then once you get out into the open terrain, your job is basically to go and find these guys and blow them up, basically. Simple stuff, right? So, and Boat called it. It's the same old story. You move and move and move. Then you maybe shoot if you've got enough action to do it, if you're facing the right way and you got a target. Mm-hmm. And then you finish your turn, and then there you go. And depending on who you've got with you, you all go through your shtick. I do like the way that they have your team listed at the top and like the guy meter.
The way that you're I prefer this to Laser Squad.
It's
and
easier
UFO.
to keep track of who's and for me it was easier to have a visual thing, representation right in front of me.
You can see at a glance how many of your guys are hurt.
Yeah.
You can see at a glance. You don't have to look at, in some cases I'm for text and numbers, but in this case, it was nice to have that sort of at a glance view.
Yeah. Now, I did not play the hard scenarios. I tried some of the easier ones, including. So in the first one, you once you get your stuff, okay, then you take off. All right, you move your guys and yourself towards the enemy. Now, you don't want to. You can't have your gun on like in hand while you're moving. Then you have to arm your gun after you get there. I got real sick of that. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if you did.
Well, once you select your weapon, you can still move around, but you have to do that with every single guy.
Well, it's a pain.
Yeah, it is. It's an unnecessary step.
It's stupid. So, but then once you get to where you can shoot something, let's say, the critters in this actually, a lot of the critters are kind of cute looking. They even sound sort of cute.
Yeah, they're kind of dinosaur. They look sort of like dinosaurs.
They look like Pokemon.
Yeah,
to me,
they look like Pokemon. You're exactly right.
And they even make kind of a funny noise. It's a lot of them. They'd be like a little beep, just sweet beep,
Right.
And then, but you're killing these pokies.
And this is a game, it's a lot like a roguelike, where the animation is very, very simple, but they'll give you a little status thing where it'll be like, you got bit, or you got stabbed, or whatever. So
now, early on, I had a laser gun, laser rifle, grenades.
Right.
All right. Simple stuff, right? So how do they work? Well, they work just like you think. You put the little cursor on the guy you want to shoot, and then you hit the button and shoot him. That's that simple.
Right.
And you can keep shooting until you run out of movement points or your gun runs out of juice. And now the grenades are a little more interesting because they have a area of effect. The game has a very basic look. I mean, when I say basic, I mean the language basic. Sort of reminded me of, you throw the grenade and then like sweeping circles come out from it, like you've dropped a pebble in a 8-bit pond.
It is one of the less elaborate animations I've ever seen on the Amiga.
Yeah. And then once you've laid the grenade down, it leaves behind crud, I guess would be the best way to gook.
Yeah.
It looks dumb.
What's that word? Detritus?
I don't know. I've never heard
I think
that.
that's
Well, whatever it is, it makes the map look very brown after you blow up a lot of stuff on it. And you got to be careful because you could blow up stuff that will blow you up. You could blow up people you want. You can blow up your own guys. So it's a grenade.
I killed many a Marine with my own grenade.
Yeah, I noticed that. You sling those things with no regard for your enemy.
Now, at the end of each mission, this game has some it has some persistence to it. Your squad leader has a chance to be promoted at the end of each successful mission. Now, what you have to do is you have to reach certain specific. In addition to being successful, you have to reach certain levels of proficiency in shooting accuracy, detecting, and cracking. So the docs say, for instance, in order to reach the rank of second lieutenant, you must have a shooting accuracy of at least 25%, both a detecting and a cracking ability of at least 17%. So you've got to really work with your squad leaders and make sure that they're doing stuff and not just hanging back, or else you will never get promoted. And that's a big part of the thing. You can go all the way. You start out as ensign, and you can proceed. I think there's about 12 ranks. You can go all the way up to fleet admiral.
Yeah, I like that. There's a lot of this game I like.
Yeah.
I like the progression of your guys. I like the fact that you can move into different scenarios. The stats make sense. Everything from how fast you move by encumbrance to the cracking to the whole nine yards. It gives you a good visual indicator. This game's not the worst when it comes to like not giving you like actual words on the screen, but it uses the old picture technique for big chunks of it to do stuff. Some of it's clunky. Let's not go argue. I think we both agree that there's some clunky stuff, but they were on the right road here. Now, we mocked the terrain in this because it looks so DOSy.
Well, okay. they also choose to go an isometric route, and that's not something a lot of these kind of games do, because there are times where you cannot see because of this viewpoint.
Yeah, I read that they scrapped this viewpoint in the next one, so I guess they didn't get over. But I will give the game this, okay, as low end as the graphics are. They do have tons and tons of objects, different terrains, different building types. This is the kind of manual you would take with you to the can.
Oh, yeah.
And before you played the game, you'd be reading it. And you'd be like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Look at all this
I mean,
stuff. Look at all these different types of guns and stuff.
Talking about terrain, I mean, of course, you can travel over water and land, but then they also have, for example, like metal floors. It takes you more movement points to walk over metal floors.
Why is that?
Well, you know, it's just it's the texture of the steel.
Is that what's so smooth?
I mean, whenever
why did they put those down?
Whenever you're walking around your prisons, and you got to walk over that graded floor.
Do you think they're going to spring for metal floors at the prisons?
Well, I always see it like when you're in lockdown. You know, you have that second row, and they have you look down, you can see.
What do you think they're going to dig their way through? Clearly, you've never been in a prison, have
Never,
you? Yeah.
never. And so there's tons of different terrain types. The graphics are serviceable. You can tell what the stuff is. It's not the most elaborate thing, but when you're dealing with stuff that's this small, sometimes that's not a bad thing. You don't want it to look confusing at the expense of looking beautiful.
This is like one step up from like Ultima.
Yeah,
it's basically like
Ultima,
it's like Rogue, something like that. But with all that said, was it fun? This is a well-kept secret, Bode. I'm not the biggest fan of these squad-based, turn-based shooting games. In fact, I don't think I've ever liked any of them that much. I could, in this game, after an hour of play, select guys, arm guys, move guys around the screen, have guys do stuff, understand what they were doing, attack guys, kill guys, and actually complete missions.
Right.
All right, I could do that if they were dumb guys, stupid. I call that a win because that has not always been the case when we've tried these games. Now, I looked at some of the later missions, and they look very difficult. This game was tough to do a ton of research on because there was very little footage out there of this game, and there's hardly any footage of anyone getting anywhere of any interest.
Yeah, well, I think that my gameplay is the longest gameplay footage on YouTube.
And there was some DOS footage, but I mean, I saw one guy who put up the footage for this and never got out of the room where you get your ammo.
Yeah.
It was like 15 minutes of him just standing there looking around, clicking stuff.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of game where you look at it, you're like, nah, heck with that. In fact, I would have done that if I didn't have to play it.
Right.
I would have been like, nah, I can't get out of the first room.
Right.
So if you give this a little bit of time, it can do good for you. And on top of everything else, we haven't touched on this, and I know you didn't go into it because I know I didn't. They released 2 versions of this, and the second version, which I think had some bug fixes, also had a scenario editor.
Yeah, you could create your own levels.
And I looked through this thing. I don't know if you had it.
No, I didn't. I didn't look at it.
It is pretty neat. I mean, you can go in there and do color stuff and arrange stuff. It's kind of cool. If you knew someone that was really into this sort of game, you could probably come up with some pretty fun stuff to do. But that much said, the fact that we found practically no video footage of this, and I didn't see it widely distributed, I would wager that this game didn't do all that great on the Amiga, just a guess. However, the series seems to be pretty popular because I know it went on past 3, so I guess, not on the Amiga, so I guess the series went on and was popular on DOS, I guess. And you could tell that maybe that's probably where a game like this, especially this one, should have been. Again, it works perfectly. It's perfectly serviceable on here, but they did not do anything that would make you think, oh, here's an Amiga game. So to me, that was kind of a bummer. It's almost like a board game. It's like when we play Civilization. It's that kind of,
Sure.
But you can look past it if it's good.
Yeah.
Did you think the gameplay moved it to the point where you can look past its shortcomings?
100%.
Oh, really? You really like this thing.
I don't have a problem with graphics that look like this. I do have a problem with the isometric viewpoint. Like if you're watching the show right now, you can see how there are objects in the rooms that are obscured, and that's annoying. There is a very helpful like this eyeball thing. You can click on that and then click on anything in the room, and it'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
But I like to be able to see stuff.
If you could have rotated the screen, that would have been okay.
Yeah, that would have been okay.
But
cool.
that would have been tough.
Right.
That probably would have been a pretty big deal.
But, I love roguelikes, and roguelikes have very simple graphics.
Yeah.
And again, all of the Laser Squad and stuff like that, very simple graphics. To me, if you are a fan of this genre, this is a must play.
Must play?
Yeah, because, if you're a fan of this genre on the Amiga,
Yeah.
you've probably put in 1,000 hours on UFO, 1,000 hours on Laser Squad. You might be looking for something new.
You're right. Plus, this has limitless possibilities with that scenario in here.
It's going to give you a challenge. Like I said, I played a bunch of the second scenario. That was the one that I found to be the most fun. And I felt like if I kept going at it, if I kept at it, I could have beaten it. I never got that far, as you can see on my playthrough. But to me, this is a good example of a tactical turn-based strategy game.
Did you beat the first level?
No. I spent most of the time on the second level.
The second level is harder.
Okay.
I will say, I didn't get past that either.
I like the idea. I read the scenario, the background story, and this one seemed like it was something I could wrap my head around.
If you look at Omnitrend's other offerings, of course, they did Breach and Paladin, so they seem to do both those. But they also did do Rules of Engagement, which I've heard a lot of good things about that. That's another one I've heard good things about. I don't think we ever touched on Rules of Engagement. I don't remember playing it on the show.
I don't think we played that.
But it has a rep. So clearly this came from people that knew what they were doing. Now, again, I would have changed a few things. I also would have changed their logo, which looks like they took letters from the hippie era. Instead of
you mean the Breach 2 logo?
No, and look at the box logo.
Oh, the box logo.
It looks on the docks.
Yeah.
It looks like hippie lettering. I don't know why they would do that.
It doesn't fit the theme of the game at all.
Did we get any action on Discord of review-wise on this boat?
Lobsterminator left a really nice review. He says, disclaimer, my review is based on playing the game last year and refreshing my memory with YouTube. I'm a big fan of turn-based tactical combat, both old and new, so when I hear about a new one, I usually give it a shot. This is one of those games where you don't quite say it's a commercial game or a good PD or shareware game. It was a commercial release, but the presentation is closer to PD. In complexity, this sits somewhere between UFO and XCOM and Laser Squad. The UI has the standard 90s cryptic icons, but it's simple enough to figure out without a manual with a bit of trial and error. I like that the game has single missions and not a grand epic story because I rarely have the patience for long retro games. Not a real classic in my opinion, but if you enjoy turn-based tactics, I recommend trying it out. I bet I would have enjoyed this back in the 90s if I had known about it.
Yeah, and this is one, graphics aside, you could pick this up and play it. The scenarios does make that easier. And I will say, unlike something, I thought XCOM was sort of daunting when you started.
Oh, sure. Now, I will say one thing that I miss about Laser Squad, and I hate this about XCOM too. In Laser Squad, if I recall correctly, you have the ability to place your starting locations on the map. In both this and
I believe
XCOM,
you're right, yeah.
You start and all your guys are lined up like cattle. In the first 15 turns, you're just trying to move them out of the thing. I hate that.
That was,
yeah. And you can't, in this game, you can't walk through your guys. So they're literally just lined up, ready to get out,
Yeah.
It's that part is frustrating.
It also seems silly.
It's very silly because guys can move past each other in real life.
Lemon, the users over there, the readers, gave this a straight up 7. The various scores came out sort of somewhere in that area. Amiga actually gave it a 75. Amiga Computer gave it a 78. Amiga Format a 79. A lofty 63 for Amiga Joker, so it's halfway decent. That's pretty high for them. Games Machine 86 and Your Amiga gave this a 95. And Dragon Magazine actually reviewed this, believe it or not, gave this a 5 out of 5.
Really?
Yeah, the average. Yeah, remember they used to do little reviews.
Yeah, I didn't know they were still doing it this late in the game, though.
The average magazine rating, according to Lemon, is 79.
Okay.
And for me, I'd say that's probably about right.
I think that's fair.
I think Lobsterminator summed it up nicely. This does set somewhere. It's not as difficult or as complicated as something like Laser Squad or XCOM, but it's this way I can play it. That goes a long way for me. If I can figure it out.
You know what I loved about this game? You didn't have to mess with loadouts. What do you want this guy to hold?
Well, because that's what.
Into the action.
I don't like that either because I don't know what any of that stuff does.
Right.
Then you have to.
And then you're always second guessing yourself.
Well,
do I suck because I suck, or do I suck because I gave the guy the wrong thing?
This is one of those games from that era that had a big beefy manual, and that's what you liked.
Right.
But nowadays I don't want a big beefy manual.
No.
I want
no manual.
Yeah, I want to just to know how to play it. But still, for people that are into this sort of thing, I think this could get over with you. I did look this up on eBay Boat, and it can be had for a decent price. Although the prices were weird on this one. You could buy this now in the States, $22 box, good to go.
Okay.
I also saw someone offering it for $150 and $89, which is too much. I did see this sell for as much as $40 and for a little as $18 boat. So overall, we didn't mention this came from its DOS brethren. So before we move along, if you're watching here on the feed, you can see that the similarities are more than a little striking than that with the DOS version of this game. I mean, it's to be expected. I don't know, the DOS version actually even looks a little crummier in a lot of ways. Well, but it depends on how good your graphics card is, I think, back in the day.
Right. Now, does the DOS version have the... Is it still have that it's got that same isometric look, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
exactly the same one.
Okay,
So,
well, there you go.
DOS even looks more like a civilization, so I guess maybe they used the Amiga a little bit, but I couldn't put a whole lot into it. There you go. Breach 2. If this sort of game is your bag, Boat, I'd say to give her a whirl.
If you ask any Amiga repair technician what the most problematic component of a motherboard is, they'll undoubtedly mention capacitors. The electrolytic capacitors that shipped with the Amiga are 30 years old or older at this point, and each one is a ticking time bomb waiting to explode battery acid all over your motherboard, sometimes damaging it irrevocably. Don't wait. Replace your capacitors now. Full capacitor kits for every Amiga model are available now at RetroRewind.ca. Don't want to attempt the repair yourself? Use their white glove recap service and leave the intricate removal and soldering process to the professionals using industry standard equipment. Use the promo code Amigos10 at checkout and save 10% off your cap kit or service. Remember, make RetroRewind.ca your first stop for all your Commodore computer needs.
Amiga News.
All right, Aaron, it's time to talk about this week's Amiga News, and we're going to start things off with a new Amiga show that is founded by one of our own. Now, when I say show, I mean convention. I mean, this is something you can go to in the meat space, Aaron.
Look at that.
Kickstart is what it's called. This is Kickstart 1. It is the UK's first and only all Amiga Expo.
Wow.
No other systems, only Amiga all the time. This thing is going down, Aaron, Saturday, July 1st and Sunday, July 7th. It's over there in Meadow Lane in Nottingham, out in Nottingham.
Have you been where this is? Meadow Lane, Nottingham?
I have. I've never been to Meadow Lane, but I've been to Nottingham.
Robin Hood's joint out there.
It is.
What's it like out there?
Well, it's pretty shady. I'm not going to lie to you.
Really?
Nottingham's a bad place.
Are there a lot of Robin Hood-esque? How much of a big deal is Robin Hood in Nottingham?
Well, there's a lot of guys walking around in fake Burberry caps. It sort of replaced the green
Are there
tunic
statues and stuff out there?
Yeah, of course there are.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they were like, we don't like this
and
guy.
there's tons of old. I think one of the oldest crypts is in Nottingham.
Oh,
And
man.
I've heard that Nottingham has turned it around since I was there.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a long time since
Maybe
I
it was
lived
just
in
shady
the
because
UK.
you were bringing down the
I
whole
probably
thing.
brought the shade.
yeah.
So, anyway, you can check. I'm going to read you some of the things here. So, this is a Kickstart. It's a new and exciting event bringing back a national Amiga event to the UK. It combines a user group event and a trade show featuring exhibitors, traders, Amiga user groups, and guest speakers on Saturday and Sunday. You can check this thing out at amigashow.com. They are having, here's just a couple of the names that are going to be here. Old Mev Dink is going to be there.
The Dinkster.
The Dinkster. Simon Phipps from Core Design.
Oh, you could have a good conversation with these
Listen,
guys.
I tell you, this is why you're wrong.
No,
Simon
Core Design,
Phipps.
they would chop you up.
Well, look at him. He's got that big tattoo. He means
does.
business.
Yeah.
There's Mike Daly from DMA Design. I definitely want to talk to him.
Maybe you might be able to take him.
Yeah, look at him. He looks very cool.
Yeah.
Look at his hair.
He's 80s cool.
Yeah, he is.
You think that's a recent photo?
It's like those wrestler photos.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, you can get tickets. The Weekend Expo package is £40. That gives you Saturday and Sunday entrance. They do have all-day parking available. It's at a reasonable price. And here's the best thing, Aaron. Say you got kids in tow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They don't want to go to this stuff.
And
generally.
say your kid's under 15.
Okay.
Like the
my
Loopster.
my kid's under
Okay.
that. Yeah.
He gets in for free.
Holy smokes.
Free kid entry.
Man, did you see this? The music he's got lined up.
Oh my gosh.
He's got himself.
Well, you know, Ravi he's knee deep and neck deep rather
Yeah.
in the UK Amiga remix music scene.
Yeah.
You got Harley Likes Music. He's a Game Boy musician, Aaron.
Oh man, that would be cool. Those guys are neat.
Vogue Renege, an Amiga musician, and
Yeah.
of course you got to have Hoffman in there.
Hoffman, he's the king dong. You know, the good thing about having your own event, and you know this, but you book yourself.
See that
way you
rave picture? That was just like Boat Fest.
Wait,
We had-
There's more people in that picture than there were at Boat. Look at the thing on the wall.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You could put a rave in part of Boat
You
Fest.
could.
You could take some hints from, look at that, booze.
Yeah.
That's Booze Fest. Look at that. What kind of drink you think that is?
Oh my gosh, that's something we can't even sell that in the United
Yeah,
States.
that's crazy. This
Yeah.
looks like a party, man, to
does.
me.
So I highly recommend. Listen, Aaron, there's a chance, mind you,
Yeah,
that I might be in England in July this summer.
really.
Okay.
What are you doing in England?
Well, I've been asked to go assist a band over there.
Is this his college band, the Smiths or something?
No. I'm talking about a band like the band I direct.
Oh,
No. Do you think the Smiths are going to come ask me to assist
I
them?
don't know, Bo. You got some weird connections. Or maybe they would be giants. They need a guy to carry their bags.
So I think I'm going to be there in July. I'm not sure exactly when, but I'm not saying that I might not make an appearance here.
What is Boat Fest? This is right before Boat Fest. I mean, directly before it.
Well, no, it will be right after Boat Fest.
I mean,
'cause Boat
that's
Fest
what I
is
mean.
in
Boat
June.
Fest is right before this
It's
expo.
3 weeks before this.
Oh, 3 weeks. So
Yeah.
you got plenty of time.
Yeah.
You got plenty of time to recover.
Anyway, head on over to amigashow.com, get yourself some tickets, party down with Ravi and the crew.
Yeah, if our buddies, anybody in chat, anybody in Discord are going to this thing, like, start talking about it. Give me the scoop. This sounds good.
Absolutely, man.
I'd be real depressed if we weren't doing something, because then I'd have nothing. So that'll be, thank God we got something cooking, Bode.
Now, Aaron, this is the video you've been
Oh,
waiting all
yes.
episode to talk about. Give us the
I have.
rundown on Amiga 1200 cap cutting recap.
You know, there's a guy I like to his videos, Chris Edwards, our boy, the Big E.
Mm-hmm.
And usually fan-friendly, loving, wacky, sort of sketchy guy,
Yes.
just like myself, sketchy tech. And this week, it was a simple video. It's real simple. What's the video, Bo? It's recapping an Amiga 1200, right? No problem, right? So Chris, much like the Huck, as an example, and some other people we know, he goes in there with the old snippers and he goes over his technique here. I'm trying to get to it. I had it, I lost it. So he goes in, the old snips, cuts the cap in half, and then he even does an extra bonus cut that I don't normally do. And he's showing you right here in this video how he pops these caps. Now, I'm telling you, all right, I've been around the block, as you know. I did this professionally for a
That's
decade,
right, that's
okay?
right.
For IBM. It wasn't like Big Jim's electronics TV repair. I worked for the big dog, all right? I'm not saying I'm the king dog of tech, but I was a sub dog. So I've watched this, and I looked at his technique, and guess what? It's not like he hasn't done a few recaps. It's
Right.
solid gold.
Yeah.
His technique is top shelf the way he does it. But I knew all too well that when this video came out, he would take heaps of abuse from these purists that don't like it when people cut the tops off these caps. And lo, it came to pass, Boat. Because I told him we had our good buddy Gary Hucker did a video that he did this on, and he got all kinds of hate mail on that video. If you go back in our archives, you can see it. And his technique wasn't nearly as good as Chris's technique. Chris's technique's solid gold. So I'm going to spell this out. I'm going to come down on the side of Chris Edwards here. And I don't care. Come at me, bro. There's nothing wrong with doing this if you know what you're doing. There's not a darn thing. It's the quickest, easiest, safest way to get these suckers off here. What's the other way? All right, you could take an air knife and a pair of tweezers, and you could go at all these things. Okay, you could do it that way. You could take a soldering iron and do it on either side. Like you can do that. You can do that too. But every one of those options is just as dangerous. In fact, it's more dangerous, if you ask me, than doing what he did. There's not a darn thing wrong with it. Now, I know a special guy named Frank from RetroRewind.ca. All right, guess what he does for a living, Boat? This, all the time, day in, day out. And Frank also came down on the side of this. So for all you people, all the haters, haters gonna hate, all right? Cut everybody some slack. Do it however you want. You can go there with a lighter, for all I care. There's nothing wrong with doing it this way. If you don't like it, learn to love it. That's all I can say. Otherwise, I thought it was an amusing video from an amusing cat. So there
Well
you go,
said.
Boat.
Well said. Now, Aaron, we do have some new game news this week.
Oh, man. Last week we had a ton of great stuff come up.
So this is, Aaron, now I know, were you a fan of the Final Fight back in the day in the arcade?
Oh, dude, when this thing came out, oh, my God.
I want to harken back to, ARG Presents this past week. You were talking about what a game changer the WWF game was. We're comparing it to Map Mania. It was like a whole new ball game. Would you put Final Fight as one of those sea change moments in the life of arcade games?
Absolutely. Before this, I'd played some Double Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Double Dragon was a pretty good game, all right? But this raised the bar. Why? Well, Final Fight had the beautiful Capcom hand-drawn graphics, right? Beautiful graphics in this game. And combined it with great audio and fun multiplayer gameplay with the cool life bar feature at the top, it all worked. The levels were diverse enough. They were fun. The enemies were diverse enough. I mean, of course, it was improved as the years went on. But you've got to put yourself back in the time frame when this was released. This was gold. I loved it. I used to play it at the old Showbiz up here. They had it up when it was up on the hill over here. Mm-hmm. And I played the crap out of it. The ending of it's great. It's got a great ending. I've played through it 1,000,000 times, and I enjoy it every time. They give you lots of cool moves. The 3 different guys are fun. It's just a fun game. And so, yes, I think this is what, in terms of beat-em-ups, this is sort of like, a lot of people would say Double Dragon is sort of like the King Dong. I'm not going to fight them, because they're sort of right, because Double Dragon really was awesome. But this was like King Dong Jr. It honed in, and they took everything that Double Dragon did and they made it better.
Well, you might recall that the Amiga port of Final Fight was not exactly world-class.
No.
It had issues.
Yes.
But guess what? Prototron is a developer that has been going to work, and basically he did an almost complete rewrite of the entire game code.
Wow.
Okay? This thing, you can run this thing cycle exact 68,000 straight. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
ECS with 2 mega chip RAM. Okay?
Really?
That's all you need. Okay? This is a new demo. It is out right now. It features a 2-player mode with Guy and Cody plus some new music. Okay? So this thing is a work in progress, but I think this looks great, don't you?
It looks real good. I wonder how far along he is in it, because it looks tremendous.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the graphics on the Amiga version weren't bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the implementation. It's much like Outrun, for example.
Right.
The execution of said game was poorly done.
Yes.
So this looks quite nice, Boat.
Yeah.
Prototron. Have we talked about this guy before?
No.
Listen, Prototron, well done. Keep up the good work, dude.
He says he never had an Amiga 1200, and he has no interest in doing a bespoke AGA version. Okay, so he's on my team right away.
I knew it. This guy's your boy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That looks great, dude. I love that. And I would love to see a great version come to the Amiga, because we deserve a good version. I know we could pull it off, too.
Now, Aaron, when you talk about the 8-bit classics that were popular over there in merry old England, Rick Dangerous is right up there with the Jet Set Willie.
I've heard that.
He's up there with Manic Miner, all those type of games. Rick Dangerous, not one that really gets a lot of Amiga action, though.
He's pretty popular.
Until now.
Oh.
Okay. There's a remastered edition coming out soon, Aaron. This is for, let's see, of course, it was originally developed by Core Design, speaking of Core. And this is a back port. It's got a new title screen. All the graphics were remastered by this guy named Dom Kid, and they took the graphics from the Wii version.
It looks real good. I would say this is a very, very attractive.
Yeah.
This game's super hard.
This was coded in the Scorpion engine.
Yeah.
And it looks like it runs real smooth. You're right. Rick Dangerous known for its cheap deaths, its trial and error gameplay.
I've heard it compared to Dragon's Lair more than a few times.
Yeah. But, I mean, listen, if you're going to play some Rick Dangerous, you might as well play it while it's looking so good.
That animation was top shelf. That got falling off. Listen, this looks good. The Scorpion engine, once again, is kicking out winners.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does this have a release? It says here, updated with a release for 2023.
All right. So it's coming quick. It's coming quick. Now, this is not, of course, it looks like this is now available for Windows and Mac OS, but you can get the 1200 Amiga Mini and CD32 version soon.
Okay, beautiful. That's great. So it's already out if you've got the other formats.
Mm-hmm.
This looks good. This looks real good. I love this stuff. Another great one from the old Scorpion engine.
All right. Well, Aaron, it's time to move on.
We got
to
one more
our
here,
final
Boaster.
story.
Yes,
I'm ready
sir.
for it, man.
Oh,
Hit
okay.
me.
You were tricking me there.
I was tricking you.
So, if you recall, not too long ago, I've been in contact with my good pal, Amy Jimmy, over with the Amiga project. This is the fellow that worked on the Amiga desktop solution software for the A500 Mini, which I have endlessly touted because it's great. It literally saved the A500 Mini for me. And this stuff's gold. We used it for the entirety of Amigathon this year.
Right, and it held up like a champ.
It held up like a champ, and it's decked out. So, lo and behold, I got a message the other day from Jimmy asking me if I'd like to kick the tires on the Mr. version of the Mini Amiga software, and I was like, gimme. And so I've spent the last 3 or 4 days, which is why I've been so busy, kicking the tires on this and running it through its paces. The Mister has sort of its own built-in gimmick. I mean, it really depends on how you've got it set up.
Well, there's the Mini Mig core comes sort of standard.
You can sort of, me and you have sort of the same thing where it just kind of boots in. It's nothing. It's pretty no frills.
Yeah.
Listen, this has frills out the yin-yang because it's basically, he took what he did on the A500 Mini and just moved up the line to the Mister. This thing is top shelf. It's all there, and he's went the extra mile and stuff. He's added extra graphics into the tiny launcher. He's got all kinds of new launchers in there. It's all the stuff you would expect to be on like a tippity top shelf version of Amiga on the Mister. And as of the recording of this show, when you hear this, this should be released. So if you're interested in picking up his newest version of this, you go to aminimiga.com, spelled like it sounds, Aminimiga. I'll spell it AMINIMIGA.com, and the Mister version should be released. And I can tell you, I've been playing with it a lot, and it's really, really good, Boat. So step over, say hi to Amy Jimmy. Maybe if you enjoy the software, float the guy a couple bucks for his hard work. It's very similar to what Chris is doing with the Pi Amiga. Those guys are in there burning the midnight oil to do these projects like this, and they're basically doing it just because they're real enthusiastic about the computer. And those guys, you got to help them out, throw them a bone every now and again for their hard work, Boat.
Absolutely.
I like rewarding people for the good jobs they do.
You're a generous man.
Hey, well, I do my best, Boat. There you go, Boat. I think that's all the news we got, my friend.
Okay, well, we should kick it on over to see what's going on the YouTube channel.
Let's do that, Boaster. So, right out of the gate here, we're just going to briefly touch on these things. We had 3 releases this week on Amigos Retro Gaming on YouTube. You want to talk about the first one real quick, Boat?
Yeah, we talked about Dragon Slayer on the Coco.
That's right. Dragon's Lair, which was, let me tell you, if you're not a Coco person and you don't pay much attention to it, don't sleep on this. Seriously, go over and have a look at it. This is a game that would have been at home on any Spectrum or 8-bit machine, and it would have been a winner. Mm-hmm. And it's a winner on the Coco.
It is. It's a real
winner. And this guy is his only game he ever made, as far as we could tell. I want to touch on that particularly this week because this was a real winner, Boat. And then over on ARG Presents, we did team fighting games. We looked at WWF Superstars from the arcade and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 from the arcade, Boat. Both fun games. We had a good time playing, Boatster.
All right, Aaron, what are we going to be taking a look at next week on Amigos?
Bam.
Gunby.
I don't know anything about this, but you said you do.
Yeah, so this is a Twin Bee as a homage, as it were. Okay?
I thought this was like some kind of flight simulator.
Yeah, this is going to be one that we enjoy.
Okay, that sounds good.
So,
well, we've liked some flight simulators.
Maybe you have.
Oh, you've liked some, you liar.
So anyway, before we go, everybody, I just want to say thank you for listening. And if you want, speaking of throwing some bones around, Patreon.com/Amigos podcast.
We throw ourselves a bone?
Listen, I throw myself bones all. You gotta take the bones when you can.
None of my business, really.
And of course, we want to thank all of the fine folks that support us over there, and also the people that watch us live on Twitch. We record the show every Friday around 5 o'clock Eastern time. We want to thank all of our Twitch supporters, our Twitch subscribers, and of course, we leave you, Aaron, with the haunting love theme from Breach 2. We will see you next week for Gun Bee, and until then,
Adios.